Have you been providing raw meaty bones wrong when prepping your pet's meals? There are many rules about raw feeding that can certainly slip through the cracks. From my experience, what I go over in this video is one of them. When it comes to raw meaty bones, I don't think I've drilled this enough in my videos. So in this video, I'm going to go over one thing new raw feeders might be doing wrong when feeding raw meaty bones, and also give some helpful resources for advanced raw feeders who want more citable sources on this subject. And that is bone to muscle meat calculation. Let me explain. If you have, let's say, a chicken neck, your first instinct might be to count the whole neck into the raw meaty bone percentage. But what about all of the muscle meat that's surrounding it? When a new raw feeder learns the ratios of 80% muscle meat, 10% raw meaty bone, 5% liver, and 5% other secreting organ, they may think that all they have to do is weigh the raw meaty bone, whether that be a neck, foot, or head of an animal, and the weight of that item is the weight of the bone. After all, this is what you normally do with muscle meat and organs. Simply place it on the scale until it reaches the weight that it needs to be, and that's it. With raw meaty bones, it's a little different, because it's not only made of raw bone. Remember, there's raw flesh surrounding it. If you simply just weigh the raw meaty bone and count its entire weight into the bone percentage, you will actually be underfeeding bone. Unlike simply looking up the nutrient analysis on muscle meats and organ meats, which are often sold for human consumption, raw meaty bones are a different story. The nutrient analysis on some common raw meaty bones have been analyzed by the USDA on Food Data Central. But unfortunately, they do not include the bone. Us humans don't eat raw bone, so there's simply no demand for it to be analyzed. So how in the world are we supposed to find out how much bone is in each cut? There are actually a few ways. Monica Segal, the author of Canine Kitchen, did a great service for us raw feeders and got a few raw meaty bones analyzed by a lab. And she provides the nutrient analysis in her book, which I highly recommend picking up. I'll put a link to it in the description. The full nutrient composition will be a great reference once you're comfortable with calculating nutrients like calcium and phosphorus, rather than just the bone to meat ratios. You can derive the total bone percentage using the nutrient composition tables in Monica Segal's book and Food Data Central, but this is a bit complicated, and I'll show you an easier method you can use right away in a bit. In addition to these sources, the Texas Agricultural Extension Service provides the analysis of a few chicken meaty bones, and the analysis of many whole prey animals were provided in The American Naturalist, as well as a publication by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Finding these two are super exciting for me. They provide the nutrient composition of quail, duck, geese, pheasant, mice, rats, hamsters, rabbits, and many more. This is great for raw feeders who feed whole prey. If analyzing these numbers is a little overwhelming, have no fear. Raw Pets Rule and Perfectly Rawsome made it a little easier for raw feeders and compiled a common raw meaty bones list and their bone to meat ratios, which I will link in the description along with the other sources mentioned. We plan to make one as well, so stay tuned for that. So now that you have these reference numbers, how do you actually calculate this for your pet? Here's an example. In terms of weight of food, I usually feed my dog 8.5 to 9 ounces daily. This is 2.2 to 2.5% of his total body weight. He does best on 10 to 15% bone. Let's say that today I'm feeding him 9 ounces of food. If I'm calculating 10% of this 9 ounces to be bone, that means that he needs 0.9 ounces of bone in his meal. I want to feed chicken necks today. According to a few of these sources, chicken necks without the skin are around 75% bone and 25% muscle meat. This can always vary, but it's an average. Now, the moment of truth. I simply weigh the neck, then multiply the weight by 0.75, and there's the answer. So even though this is the weight of the entire neck, only this much is raw bone. This would make up the total amount of raw bone for my dog in this case. Learn more about how to feed your pet raw meaty bones in this video.